In the early hours of February 24, 2022, Russia launched a full-scale military invasion of Ukraine. This marked the most significant military attack in Europe since the end of the Second World War and represented a dramatic escalation of a conflict that had existed at lower intensity since 2014. At around 5 a.m. Kyiv time, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the start of what Russia termed a special military operation. Shortly after the announcement, missile and air strikes were reported across Ukraine. Explosions were heard in major cities, including Kyiv, Kharkiv, Odessa, Mariupol, Dnipro, and Lviv. Targets included airfields, military bases, radar stations, ammunition depots, and command and control facilities. Ukraine's government confirmed that its airspace was closed and that air defense systems were activated. Russian forces entered Ukraine from multiple directions simultaneously, indicating a large-scale and coordinated operation. Troops advanced from Russia's north, east, and northeast, from Belarus toward Kyiv, and from the Crimean Peninsula in the south, which Russia had annexed in 2014. This approach suggested an attempt to stretch Ukrainian defenses, disrupt command structures, and achieve rapid territorial gains. One of the most closely watched areas during the first days was Kyiv, the capital and political center of Ukraine. Russian armored columns moved south from Belarus, while airborne units attempted to seize Hostomel Airport, a strategic location northwest of the city that could have allowed rapid reinforcement by air. Ukrainian forces resisted these operations, and fighting around the airport became one of the earliest symbols of Ukrainian resistance. Russian troops failed to secure full control of the area, and Kyiv remained under Ukrainian government control. In eastern Ukraine, Russian military operations expanded in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, where fighting had continued intermittently since 2014 between Ukrainian forces and Russia-backed separatist groups. Russia had formally recognized these separatist-controlled areas as independent shortly before the invasion. In the early days of the war, Russian forces increased pressure in these regions, aiming to expand territory under their control. In the south, Russian troops advanced northward from Crimea. This front saw some of the fastest early territorial changes. Russian forces captured or surrounded several towns and moved toward major ports and industrial centers. Kherson, a strategically important city near the Dnipro River, fell to Russian forces within the first week, becoming the first major Ukrainian city to be occupied. Heavy fighting also began around Mariupol, a key port city on the Sea of Azov, which would later face prolonged siege conditions. Ukraine responded quickly. The government declared martial law, suspended certain civil processes, and ordered a general mobilization. Men of military age were restricted from leaving the country, and thousands of civilians volunteered to join territorial defense units. President Volodymyr Zelensky issued multiple public addresses, emphasizing national resistance and calling for international support. Ukraine's military focused on defending major cities, supply routes, and infrastructure while slowing Russian advances. Contrary to some early expectations among analysts, Ukrainian resistance proved organized and effective in many areas. Russian forces encountered logistical challenges, including long supply lines, fuel shortages, and coordination difficulties. Ukrainian forces used anti-armor weapons, local knowledge, and defensive positions to slow advances, particularly in northern regions. The humanitarian impact was immediate. Air raid sirens became a regular feature of daily life. Residential areas were damaged, and essential services were disrupted. According to United Nations estimates, hundreds of thousands of civilians were displaced within the first days, and by the end of the first week, more than 1 million people had fled Ukraine, primarily to neighboring countries such as Poland, Romania, Hungary, and Slovakia. Civilian casualties were reported, though exact numbers were difficult to verify in real time. The international response was rapid and wide-ranging. The United States, European Union, United Kingdom, Japan, and other allies condemned the invasion as a violation of international law and Ukraine's sovereignty. Within days, they imposed extensive economic sanctions on Russia. These included measures against major banks, restrictions on access to international financial systems, export controls on advanced technology, and sanctions on Russian political and business elites. At the United Nations, emergency sessions were convened. Russia vetoed a draft resolution in the Security Council condemning the invasion, but the matter moved to the UN General Assembly, where a large majority of member states voted in favor of a resolution demanding that Russia withdraw its forces from Ukraine. While these resolutions were not legally binding, they demonstrated significant international opposition to the invasion. Russia maintained that its actions were intended to address long-standing security concerns, protect Russian-speaking populations, and prevent Ukraine from joining NATO. Ukraine and most UN member states rejected these justifications, stating that Ukraine posed no immediate military threat and that the invasion violated the principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity under international law. By the end of the first several days, it became increasingly clear that the war would not end quickly. Russian forces had failed to achieve several early objectives, while Ukraine continued to resist and received increasing levels of military, financial, and humanitarian assistance from Western countries. Global energy markets reacted sharply, diplomatic relations were strained, and the conflict began reshaping international security and economic policies. In conclusion, the first days of the 2022 invasion were defined by a large-scale, multi-front military operation, stronger than expected Ukrainian resistance, rapid humanitarian consequences, and an unprecedented international response. These early developments set the foundation for a prolonged and complex war, with consequences far beyond Ukraine.